And get in, lads. Today is our part one of our grading every single Concacaf team's performance in the 2024 Copa America. So we're doing Canada, Jamaica, and Mexico today in that order. I'll have timestamps on the bottom, so make sure to skip to the country you want to hear more about if that interests you. But yes, we have opinions on all three teams. Before we get into it, though, I want to hear your guys' gradings, A through F, about each individual team or whichever team you want to do in the
Oh,
comments down
straight off
below,
the
because
bat,
we
like,
will read every comment. Yeah, come on now. I have to. I want to know in the comments down below what your opinion was, because we read every single one. And then maybe we'll talk about it in a future video, reacting to those comments, which would be kind of cool. But first of all, Canada. If you guys don't give Canada an A+ here, I will not accept what you guys are saying. I think
okay.
it's without a doubt A+ to Canada, personally.
As a hater, as a certified hater at times,
Okay.
and my fellow brothers and sisters up north that I share some blood with, I'm gonna give them a solid A.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
I feel like an
really
A+.
thought.
An
I
A
really
plus
thought he
is
was gonna
like
have a B or some
perfection.
shit.
A perfection would be they're in the
Yeah.
final here. But an A, I'll give him an A. I think Jesse Marsh. I got to give credit to Diego here. He called it.
Wow.
He called it.
I
You
did
gotta
call
put.
it.
Wow.
I did
Could we
call
give
it.
him the title of football guru as a
Well, not
fellow
yet.
football guru?
Well,
I think we got to let him cook a little bit
Hello.
as
Yeah,
a fellow football guru. I think
Fellow?
we
I'm
got
for it.
as a fellow football guru.
Yeah.
oh, okay.
I'll never forget that Japan bet I made, dude. That's
Yeah.
that earned me
What
that
about all the
title
other
right there.
bets? What about the other? Anyway, we can't get into betting talk, or we're gonna start roasting our dress for the next 2 minutes. Diego, you're grade A through F for Canada.
I give it an A as well. I think
Yeah.
an A+. I would wanted to see like another one in the group stage. I think specifically Chile when Canada had that man advantage.
That's fair.
I think they could have won it, and that's not to say that
Yeah.
they did. It's just like I think finishing was definitely lacking for them throughout the tournament.
Yeah.
They only scored 2 goals all tournament, so I think they need to work on their finishing and their composure up front. But they got the results when they needed to, even if they didn't score a lot, and they got to the semis where they had to beat the tournament favorites, and they didn't, and that's fine. I think to judge them off that would be harsh. So I'll give them an A because Jesse Marsh was just a motivator on the pitch, on the sideline, getting the team like in the zone, focused, locked in for every game. And even though they would arguably have the weaker squad compared to the U.S. or Mexico, they came out as the best performing team, and you got to give credit because they were playing some fun football and they had some good chances. They just need to work on their finishing. That was a big letdown.
Yeah. For what that team had, and for what they did, is just one of the best stories of recent football, in my opinion, international wise. And truthfully, like, I don't know. Out of all of us, I feel as though none of us had the belief Canada would go this far. Truthfully, I thought Jamaica was going to go even farther than Canada. I thought they at least had more of a chance, personally. But obviously that didn't happen. But Canada, I guess an A is fair. I'm still going to stick with the A+, but I think an A is more fair. There was a lot of problems with it, but a lot of these names out of Canada that's shown up were just fantastic. I mean, Jacob Schaffelberg on the left hand side, for Jesse Marsh to have the balls to put Alphonso Davies at left back at his normal, is not his natural position, but to keep Alphonso Davies at left back and put Schaffelberg at his left wing. Fantastic by Jesse Marsh, and that paid off so well. Johnstone at right back was amazing. My only issue was Kyle Larin. He's not good. Kyle Larin is not good at striker for Canada. I'm sorry, he doesn't do shit for Canada.
I agree.
And the center backs consistently let this team down. I think they're a big reason why they didn't go farther. I think I was joking in our group chat when Argentina scored that goal. Canada, truthfully, had a really good start to the game against Argentina, and I think a lot of people had faith. A lot of people had hope. Drake was sweating less and less on this $300 bet, but the center backs there were way too far apart, and that just comes with inexperience and not playing together and not a lot of chance to play together, and that's fine. But they were way too far apart. Should have been closer. If they were closer, I don't think the goal scored. In general, though, Canada are just fantastic. The fact that you're getting to the semifinals, the fact that you've had to deal with CONMEBOL refereeing and you still got this far. I mean, I do think that's a reason why they didn't beat Chile. We watched that game, Diego, together.
Yeah.
It was a mud fight. That's what it was. I mean, there was hardly any football to be played. there was way more kicks towards the players and the word of the ball. Canada, to get that far, I think you can't give them anything less than an A. That's all it is. If you give them anything less than an A, you're just hating just to hate, and I will not tolerate that. I will not tolerate that.
I have some
Um,
bad news. I was gonna make
oh,
a
goodness.
joke about going to Tim Hortons to celebrate, but
Oh,
there
I
is
looked it
not
up
a
too.
single one near me. That's what I've
The
been doing this
closest
whole
one
time.
is like the East Coast, like the Northeast. I'm
I'm
pretty
What
going.
the
sure.
fuck?
If there's one in Florida in August, I'll go hunting it down and go
That's
do it,
crazy.
and we can make a TikTok out of
For
it.
all for a Copa America semifinals appearance, and he's not even
Hey, you know
Canadian.
what? You know what? It's their first debut appearance, and they did that. All right, and they did
Yeah,
better than all of our countries that we support. So you know what?
that's
I
true.
give them props.
My only issue with this team, right, and obviously this is beyond Copa America. It has no factor into my grading scale for this. I don't know how faithful I am that they maintain this good form and good prowess within Concacaf. I still don't think they're as good as USA and Mexico personally. I guess that remains to be seen. I do think
Are you saying this could be a fluke? Are you
not
saying this is a fluke?
necessarily. Not necessarily. I do want to see way more of it. I don't know right now. I don't think it's fair to say they are the best team in CONCACAF right now. Personally, I think they
They're the
need to
best
prove
team in
more. I
CONCACAF
do
right
think
now.
they could do a lot more, especially Nations League and whatnot. I just don't think right now it's fair to say personally. But you never know. I would love to prove wrong because I think a better Canada is a better CONCACAF. That's all that matters to me. That's all that matters to me.
It's like
I
a
think
politician.
as much as we have rivalries and whatnot, obviously, USA, Mexico, Canada, you throw in Jamaica, you throw in Honduras, El Salvador, whatnot. Yes, obviously, as an American fan, I don't want to see Mexico do a whole lot, but a, a,
That's mean.
a better overall CONCACAF is what matters more to me than anything. So, which is why I do think Canada. I'm very glad to see Canada are maintaining or having this good form and
I
are a good
I,
team now.
I th- see. I share a similar uh thing where I think I hope they do, but I can also see them not doing it. But I think with this tournament, I think they found their identity that they've been missing this whole time that we said on
Yeah,
several occasions before this. There's
yeah,
like Canada has the players to do something, but they never have just because they just don't play well together. But with Jesse Marsh, it seems like they're playing well together as a team and they found their identity. And now it's the question of can they build on this identity
yeah,
and be more concrete and solid in the back and then also finishing. So
yeah.
honestly, the only problem is they can drop significantly below. Yeah, like you can say the sky's the limit, but at the same time, it can get worse from here. It just kind of
We've
just
seen how
depends on
bad
the
Canada
direction they
can
go.
be. We've seen how bad Canada can be.
Yeah,
Canada
I
have
mean I can't
struggled
really
against Trinidad
talk,
and
but
Tobago. Granted, other teams as well. I mean, they lost to Jamaica, I think, in the last Nations League, right? So Canada still have issues. They still have problems. They still have money issues. I think Copa America guarantees them like $8 million in prize money or so, which is
Jeez.
great for the federation. But that's still a big thing. Is investing is a really really poor thing for the Canadian national team. And if they're able to get more, which they have been, obviously through like MLS investors and whatnot, that's what they need. Without it, I don't see a whole lot of growth over time and infrastructure. But who knows? There's a lot of dual national players that could switch it to Canada, which I would love to see. And I'm gonna do a video on that, similar to the Jamaica 2 videos that I did for Canada dual nationals. So if that interests you, subscribe now. But yeah, the ceiling is high, but the bottom is really really low, and we've seen them right now. You could see them either one of those in the next 2 years. Um,
Agreed.
but the fact that Jesse Marsh, if you can create an identity for a team within a month of being in charge, that's amazing. Greg Berhalter was in charge for what, like 5-6 months, and our only identity is that we're shit. So I guess he did do that. He did say he wanted to change the world's outlook on the USA, and he did in a worse way. So beside the point, we'll talk more about Greg Berhalter and the USMNT in the next video. But A's all around. Canada, congratulations on what you've done in
Is
semifinals. Fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Yes, yes. I want a Canada jersey now.
I do.
Um,
Their away one looks so nice. I looked
clean,
at it. It's so
clean.
nice. I'm like, damn, I
I may
want
have to
that.
pick one up. I'm going to pick one up. Let's
Hey,
move on.
Elijah,
Yes,
pick one up for me.
I got you. DHK baby. DHK.
Yeah,
Is where
that's
I'm
what
at.
I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. If you order one, order me one.
I got you. I got you. Speaking of kits being ordered from DHgate and getting recently, Jamaica. I just got a new kit recently, so that's why I said that. But
What a
Jamaica is
segue.
our next topic. It wasn't that good. Jamaica is our
I was
next
just trying to
country
guess you
to
up.
talking about. And I appreciate it, Andres. Thank you. If no one, if I do, I'm pretty sure somebody else does. The Reggae Boys had a disappointing Copa America. We
Mm.
obviously went to go see them play in Las Vegas against Ecuador, and I had my thoughts about that game. And if you want to watch that video, we did vlog it, so make sure to go to our channel and watch that video. But in general, Jamaica had a quite disappointing Copa America. It was way worse than we thought it was going to be. In my personal opinion. Uh, I'm gonna start by saying I would just give it. I'd give it a D. Is the letter I'd give it off the bat. I was pushing C a little bit, and I do think you. I'll talk about it more, and you could say C, and I would not be upset about it. But there are also reasons why it's on an F for me because I don't think they look the worst. But yeah, D personally. I really thought they were gonna make it out of the group personally. I really think they did, and there was more factors to it than that. But before I get into what I'm gonna say about it, Diego, your initial letter grade for Jamaica.
Um, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
honestly, I mean, like, I'm not. I don't want to give an F because I feel like that's really harsh. Because they didn't like. It's not like the expectations were extremely high, but like
Right.
we definitely thought they would do better than what happens.
Right.
And we can say they played well for one half, but like at
Right.
the end of the day, that's not enough to be like get a result. You gotta
Yeah.
do better than collapse in one half and then do better in
Right.
the second. Like that's not going to
Right.
do enough. So a D is where I agree with you as well. And honestly, it was disappointing.
Yeah.
And I think on the one hand, I will say that like there were times we saw some promise. We went to go see the game. There were a few times where we saw some promise, but they could never do that for a whole game, let alone
Yeah.
for full
That's the
45
issue.
minutes.
Yeah.
Maybe like
Yeah.
10, 15 minutes of a
20
good
minutes at
spell, and
most.
then yeah, and
Yeah.
that
I
was
mean,
it.
the reason I don't get. Oh, sorry. Before I get into my reasoning, Andres, agree with the D sentiment.
C's get degrees, but Jamaica did not deserve a degree. So,
Damn. Damn.
uh, and after watching that place game, I was pretty upset Mexico got knocked out. But
Right.
after seeing some highlights of the goals that were conceded in that third game, it made me very upset with Jamaica's players, except Michael Antonio, of
Hmm.
course. So I'm gonna give it an F plus. The plus is
Wow.
for Michael Antonio for scoring for Jamaica,
Wow.
and
We just lost our whole subscriber base.
you know what
We're
I
back
can.
down to 500 subscribers.
I'll take the hate, but personally, I had some high expectations going into this tournament for them.
Yeah.
Um,
And
but that
can I
third
also
game
say,
really royally pissed me off. To
yeah,
see certain reactions of certain players, that was sickening to see. So,
right. Can I also say, we're not trying to hate on Jamaica. We love Jamaica. We want them to do the best because they deserve more. Truthfully, this federation, Jamaica could be a top four team in Concacaf. Should be a top four
they
team in
could be.
Concacaf.
They could
We
be.
want
It's
Jamaica.
just
We have
that
high
did not
expectations for
show it.
Jamaica. No, absolutely not. And
That just
you know what?
confirmed what everyone else thinks of Jamaica. That
Right,
the way they performed.
right. And we are of the minority that thinks that Jamaica's a great team because they are. Personally, I do think they are. This past year, Bar Copa America was phenomenal for Jamaica. They made Nations League third place. That was great. And the fact that they're in the conversation, I mean, the fact that they even qualify for Copa America is amazing as a federation. I do think that their main focus is and should be the 2026 World Cup to qualify for that, which I do think they're going to. I do think they will, and that's
Agreed.
okay. That's why it's not the most upsetting thing. It shouldn't be looked as a step back for this Copa America, their performance, because I do think that should be their main focus, and a qualification for that means so much more than their performance here. So that's what matters to me in the end. I think that's what matters. That's what should matter to a lot of Jamaican fans and regular fans around the world. Um, before this tournament, though, I do think they had some moments of brilliance. They could have done better, and it was really all down to them. In that Mexico game, you had Mexico not on the ropes, but that game
Whoa,
could have gone
whoa,
either
whoa.
way. For no, I said not, but that game could have gone either way. Jamaica could have won that game. Um, Poor choices, particularly with substitutions, were a reason they didn't. That was down to Jamaica. Obviously, Arteaga scored a great goal, and Mexico ended up pulling that out. But Jamaica could have at least gotten a point from that game, 100%. The game against Ecuador, the game that we went to, they also could have gotten something from that. I do think a lot of it was not down to them. Obviously, penalty shout for Ecuador and for Jamaica. very similar stakes in terms of that penalty and how they should have been called, and they were called different ways. That one goal was a deflection, and it purposely landed in the goal. The odds of that are very slim. It was unfortunate, and then obviously that third goal was just unfortunate because they had everybody forward. Just not much you can do about that, right? So I do think they could have gotten something from that game, but they didn't. Venezuela was just, well, I mean, speaking about Venezuela in general, Venezuela were the surprise of the group stage, 100%. They
A lot of
should
luck.
not have gone. A lot
A
of
lot
luck,
of luck.
yes, but a lot of talent too. They should not have gone
No.
9 points out of 9, but they did, and as a result, obviously Jamaica were on the butt end of
Yeah.
that. So
And then get first rounded just like that. Boom.
yeah, by Canada. So
Hold that.
Jamaica should have done way better than they did. They could have done way better than they did, and it was down to them. And it was quite unfortunate, but I do think there's a bright future ahead of them. And if you don't agree with that, then you're just hating on it. I do think they have a lot of opportunity to be a really, really good team in this region in the future, and they should be. That's what they deserve. Find the right manager. Obviously, I don't know if you guys saw Heinrich Hallgrimsson, their manager, left obviously, and he
Yeah,
just
I
signed
did see
yesterday
that.
with the Republic of Ireland.
Oh,
So he's
shit.
the new Irish coach. Yeah.
Fuck.
So yeah, he's moved on to
The
Ireland,
drought
but he has
continues for Ireland.
not genuinely. He was a decent manager for Jamaica. He just wasn't the most experienced, and not the kind of manager Jamaica needs. But I think you have an enticing project to bring an up and coming manager to your country and to do something good with his team. As long as the federation gets in order and the coaching gets in order, you have the workings of a great Concacaf region team. So still, unfortunate Copa America for them. Could have been a lot better, and I think will be a lot better in the future, and that's all that matters. But as long as you make 2026 World Cup, that's great. And
Happy days.
I will absolutely try to go to a game. If they do, and if they happen to be in and around Southern California, that's Arizona, Nevada, Oregon, whatever, I would happily go to a game. That'd be
Or we get
amazing.
invited.
Or we get invited by then. Who knows?
Sponsorships.
Let's see what happens by then. Yeah. I was just talking to my coworkers, my manager at work yesterday, and they were saying like we should go to Jamaica. I'm like, yeah, I would love to go to Jamaica. That'd be great. Watch a JPL game. Go to the beach. I don't know. Whatever else we do. Obviously post
Go to the
hurricane.
beach.
Obviously post hurricane. I do want to say first of all, if you are affected by the hurricane, if you know people that are affected by the hurricane, we are praying for you. We are very sorry that happened, but stay safe. Play as best you can, and yeah. So we can move on, I think, to our last country here in Mexico. And Andres has been looking forward to this all day, I feel like. Time to talk about Mexico in the Copa America. And
You know,
you know what, Andres, I think it's only right that you give us your grade first for Mexico.
I might get some hate for my Jamaican grade, but don't you worry. I will give a fair assessment to Mexico's performance, and it's going to be a close one between which scores worse. But I'm going to go F minus for Mexico.
Wow.
Minus.
F
F
minus.
minus.
I don't even think they give F minuses in school anymore. I think
I
it's
don't
just
think
an
they
F.
do, no.
But yeah, that was fucking abysmal. That was worse than the World Cup. Because at least the World Cup, we had a moment where I was like, oh my gosh, we're going to go through. And I was like extremely happy. And then those came crashing down very quickly. But I believe that we had a chance. And this team is honestly one of the worst Mexican sides of all time. Not the worst, but it's up there. It's probably top 3. I haven't been. Luckily, I've been blessed since I was born that Mexico was always good until now, past like 5 years. But yeah, this team is shit. It's really shit to watch, and a lot of the performances were really hard to watch. But yeah, F minus. The lowest grade I could possibly give them. If I could give them a lower grade, I would. So. Yeah, and Jimmy, you got to go, mate. But I know you're not. Apparently, you might be in an assistant position role somehow. Like only our federation would do that type shit.
No,
but
literally.
Anyways,
could you imagine
Diego,
if the USA kept Greg as an assistant coach in the next federation
that's
or the next
absolute bullshit.
manager?
That's some dumb shit. Anyways, Diego,
Yeah, that's terrible.
rating.
I would probably. I don't know. I feel like F minus.
F minus is brutal.
That's brutal.
They deserve it.
I'd give it a D minus. I think it was not great. I think the only thing that you can like really give credit for is that like defensively look pretty good, which hasn't always been the case of a Mexico team.
Hmm.
Like for them, obviously I think it was the way they set up. They played very defensive a lot of the time. There was a lot of them booting it up, so
Right.
they weren't able to leave a lot of space to begin with. And I think I got to give credit to the defense in that scenario, but otherwise it wasn't great. They had a scraped a 1-0 win. They drew 0-0 to when they needed to win, and then they lost to Venezuela in an upset. Although to be fair, Venezuela upset everybody in that group, so I guess it's
That's
kind of
some
Sure.
bullshit. That was some bullshit. Anyways, some
I,
bullshit.
I don't think I don't think that Andres has any personal bias here. I do think this is
no.
straight
No,
from
they did
an
not deserve to win
analytical.
that game. That was some fucking bullshit. Their
For
one
also
attack,
context,
their one attack, no, they had two attacks. Was where they hit the post in the first half, and then they got that penalty in the second. That's all they did.
Hmm.
Anyways,
fair. Andres did go to that game. So if you guys want to watch that video and his reaction in that vlog, make sure to click on the video on our channel. But I'm just gonna give him a D. I think F minus. I think in my opinion, anything lower than a D is kind of brutal.
they
I
deserve
give
it.
him a D because for me there was very little expectation. I think in general there was very little expectation, and that's why I don't give him an F because they didn't like disappoint me per se. They kind of performed how I expected them to perform. That's why I give him a D. I think that Jamaica game, obviously, I don't think you can take a whole lot from that game because Jamaica ended up being the worst in the group. Mexico there's nothing for it where I'd be like, that was a great game from them because it really wasn't. It was not a great game from them. Personally, obviously they did win the game, but they should have played a lot better there against Ecuador, against Venezuela. Venezuela won the game, of course. Ecuador, blah blah blah. Mexico performed how I thought they were going to perform. That was a D personally. If they got second and made it out, I would give them maybe honestly a B. But the D I think is the most fair for me. They did not look that good. They looked exactly how I thought they were going to look like. So yeah, nothing crazy though. That's my whole thing is that nothing stood out to me personally
I
for them.
think
They were just
I think
there.
the Mexican side of our expectations, because I remember watching your video. The expectations was to get out of the group, like for us to actually go not to the semis was probably our expectation based on our group drawing. Was my
You
common
think so?
census was quarterfinals, semifinals. Like we were expected to
From
get
what
out of
I
this
saw,
group.
I definitely saw a lot of we're not getting out of the group before the tournament. But I mean, obviously there are people who also hold the sentiment that they are. So I
But
guess it's
also,
pretty
it's
split.
like from what I saw on Twitter, you got to remember a lot of negative Nancy's on Twitter.
Mm.
But from what because I don't speak Spanish unfortunately, but my dad was telling me the podcast and the talk shows and all that were expecting the analysts, as they say, were expecting a group outside of the group top place finish. But anyways, um, so that's why I'm so disappointed in the squad is that I think we could have turned it around for us, especially with the way Jimmy decided to start Santi and look like things were going our way. I think losing Edson Alvarez was a massive blow. I think that
Sure.
affected the way we played. But at the same time, it's a next man up mentality, and not everything's going to go perfect into a tournament. So, I think that had a massive effect on us going forward on the terms of the attack. But one player should not be able to determine the fate of a team. So, but yeah, and then the fact that I think we would have looked a lot better if we were able to finish our chances. If I'm being honest, because I think
Sorry.
Venezuela, I think we could have won 4-1 probably if we actually were able
Damn.
to finish. If you saw what I saw, there was a lot of chances to score. Santi in the first half, a lot of times in the second half. The penalty, I mean, there was a lot. But yeah, I'm just
Hmm.
disappointed just because I had high hopes for this team. Maybe I'm a bit delusional, but when I might never not. So, but yeah, I'm disappointed, and I think we got to go into a new direction. But I don't think we're going to. So
Yeah.
that's
I
kind
mean, I
of
mean,
depressing.
even then, new direction. Even then, I feel like means so little to Mexico. Like you can bring a new manager in, which they should, and there are some names being thrown around who are also in the mix for the Ecuador position as well. But even then, you can't change the player pool, and I don't think the player pool is that great right now. I think there's some good players, but the player pool is nowhere near as consistent and reliable as it used to be, and that's the issue. I think Mexico fans just sit down, strap in, you're going to experience a lot these next 2 years before the World Cup. You're going to experience a lot, and thankfully Mexico already qualified for the World Cup because they're hosting. So just watch.
I
All you
think
got to do is
these
watch.
next 2 years could be nice though. I think certain players could come up, and especially with especially this transfer window, I see a lot of youngsters going out into Europe.
That's true.
Not,
Very
so
true.
that could be, you know, these certain players could pop up in a year and a half's time right before the World Cup and be like, oh, they're doing really well in Europe, and here we are, different squad
Yeah.
lined up. But yeah, that was a tough one to take
Yeah.
overall. But I
I
think
think I
we dropped even lower in our standings. Canada's above us now. So we're third. If I'm being for real, we're third in
wow.
the Concacaf. I put Canada first, U.S. second, and then us third. Unfortunately, in terms of player quality and like things that we'll be able to turn around, just because I think the U.S. can turn it around just with a different manager. So with us, it's a different story. But
Yeah, I think that's the unfortunate situation Mexico's in, right? Because like in years past, let's say 10 years ago, if Mexico was in the exact same spot, Mexico has the time and freedom to turn it around relative to the rest of the region. At the time, no one else is going to be competing in any scenario besides the USA. So Mexico could easily just take like a year or two to get their shit in order and then be fine. But now that's the issue, right? Is you drop even farther and you now also have to compete with other federations. You have to compete now with Canada, of course. You have to compete, obviously, the USA is, I still think, the cream of the crop in the region. You still have to compete. You now have to compete with Jamaica, Panama, Costa Rica. So that's where it's unfortunate for Mexico because I don't think they have a lot of time and freedom to get their shit in order because they see everybody around them also doing the same thing. So unfortunate for Mexico. Um, but yeah, okay. I think that's all we had. I think it was a D for me. It was a D minus day for you,
Yeah.
I believe, and then it was an F minus for Andres. That was
that's
brutal.
what's up.
Brutal. If you share a sentiment for any of these teams or countries, let us know in the comments down below. Because, like I said, we read every single comment. And if you have any other opinion, let us know as well. But do you guys have anything to add before we move on, or before we end this video?
No, Jimmy's
All
got to
right,
go. That's all I got to
Jimmy's
say.
got to go. All right. Well, if you heavily enjoyed the video, like I enjoyed recording it, make sure to leave a like down below. Like I said, let us know your opinions in the comments down below. Make sure to subscribe for a whole bunch more Concacaf content in the next couple years, because boy, there's going to be a lot of it. And then turn notifications on for those videos to be alerted on your phone, so you can be one of the first people to interact with us on those videos. Otherwise, we'll see you guys in the part 2 video, which should come out in a couple days as well. So, yeah, bye guys.